I love you Allah. Love you Prophet Muhammad. Hadith Sahih Al-Bukhari. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1224. Narrated Abdullah bin Bihana. Allah's Messenger once led us in a prayer, and offered 2 rakat and got up for the 3rd rak'ah without sitting after the 2nd rak'ah. The people also got up with him, and when he was about to finish his prayer, we waited for him to finish the prayer with taslim, but he said takbir before taslim and performed 2 prostrations while sitting, and then finished the prayer with taslim. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1225. Narrated Abdullah bin Bihana. Allah's Messenger got up after the 2nd rak'ah of the Zuhr prayer without sitting in between the 2nd and the 3rd rak'at. When he finished the prayer, he performed 2 prostrations of sahu and then finished the prayer with taslim. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1226. Narrated Abdullah. Once Allah's Messenger offered 5 rakat in the Zuhr prayer, and somebody asked him whether there was some increase in the prayer. Allah's Messenger said, "What is that?" He said, "You have offered 5 rakat." So Allah's Messenger performed 2 prostrations of sahu after taslim. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1227. Narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet led us in the Asr, or the Zuhr prayer, and finished it with taslim. Dhul Yadayn said to him, "O Allah's Messenger, has the prayer been reduced?" The Prophet asked his companions in the affirmative. So Allah's Messenger, "I offered 2 more rakat and then performed 2 prostrations of sahu." Sadi said, "I saw Urwa bin Az-Zubair had offered 2 rakat in the Maghrib prayer and finished it with taslim. He then talked, and when he was informed about it, he completed the rest of his prayer and performed 2 prostrations and said, 'The Prophet prayed like this.'" Sahih Al-Bukhari 1228. Narrated Abu Hurairah. Once Allah's Messenger offered 2 rakat and finished his prayer. So Dhul Yadayn asked him, "The prayer been reduced, or have you forgotten?" Allah's Messenger said, "Has Dhul Yadayn spoken the truth?" The people replied in the affirmative. Then Allah's Messenger stood up and offered the remaining 2 rakat and performed taslim, and then said takbir and performed 2 prostrations like his usual prostrations, or a bit longer, and then got up. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1228b. Narrated Salama bin Al-Kama. I asked Muhammad bin Sirin whether Hajj should be recited after the 2 prostrations of sahu. He replied, "It is not mentioned in Abu Hurairah's narration." Sahih Al-Bukhari 1229. Narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet offered one of the evening prayers. The sub-narrator Muhammad said, "I think that it was most probably the Asr prayer," and he finished it. After offering 2 rakat only, he then stood near a piece of wood in front of the mosque and put his hand over it. Abu Bakr and Umar were among those who were present, but they dared not talk to him about that because of excessive respect for him, and those who were in a hurry went out. They said, "Has the prayer been reduced?" A man who was called Dhul Yadayn by the Prophet said to the Prophet, "Has the prayer been reduced, or have you forgotten?" He said, "Neither have I forgotten, nor has the prayer been reduced." He said, "Certainly you have forgotten." So the Prophet offered 2 more rakat and performed taslim, and then said takbir and performed a prostration of sahu like his ordinary prostration, or a bit longer, and then raised his head and said takbir, and then put his head down and performed a prostration like his ordinary prostration, or a bit longer, and then raised his head and said Takbir. Sahih Al-Bukhari 1230. Narrated Abdullah bin Bahana al-Asti, the ally of Bani Abdul Muttalib, Allah's messenger, stood up for the Zuhr prayer, and he should have sat after the second rak'ah, but he stood up for the third rak'ah without sitting for tashahhud, and when he finished the prayer he performed two prostrations and said takbir on each prostration while sitting, before ending the prayer with taslim, and the people too performed the two prostrations with him. Instead of the sitting he forgot. God bless you. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.